It is my absolute pleasure to introduce the next panel, The Power of Kindness, Collaboration, and Community. I am honored to introduce our moderator, Yvonne Nava, KVUE News Daybreak anchor. You can watch Yvonne weekday mornings from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. on KVUE News Daybreak. Welcome to the stage.
Thanks for having me. Ooh, and they cut the music. It's perfect. All right, let's introduce the panelists for you. So we're going to go from right to left. So my left, but your right, okay? So first we have Rose Smith, the founder and CEO of Black Women in Business. Say hello, Rose. And then we also have Najah Clay, Miss Central Texas International. Followed by Andra Liemandt, the founder and CEO of the Kindness Campaign. You got it. I was kind. I got her name right. I got it right. All right. And then we also have Amber Allen, the founder and CEO of AA Labs. Thank you so much for your time. We have a lot to get to. We're going to ask you all to kind of chime in at the very end, but let's get started on our questions, okay? All right, so I'm wondering, I figure you all can just kind of chime in whenever you want, But let's start with this one. How do you define community, and what characteristics can make a community or tribe powerful?
Well, I define community as the group of people, your chosen group of people who you relate to, who you connect to, whether that's someone from school, whether it's someone in your community. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Whether it's someone who physically lives in your community. I know for me, it's my sister queens. I recently just competed in that sisterhood. Miss International's sisterhood is so amazing and it's so powerful. And I think that what makes a great community and what makes it so impactful is the intention and the care that goes into it. It's the love. It was me and my sister queens holding hands before interview and me helping them with their platform and them saying, oh, you have to say this because that's like really powerful, and it made me cry the first time you said it. Even though we were all competing for a crown, not everyone can be crowned. And I think that we all left that day feeling accomplished because we had that sisterhood there.
I love what you just said, and if you don't mind, I'd love to go kind of piggyback on that. Something at the Kindness Campaign that is really important for us is really fostering that sense of belonging and that unity, kind of what you're speaking to there, and also having a North Star, giving something that you can all root for or kind of champion and rally around. And for us at the Kindness Campaign, it is emotional and mental health, and really finding something, a group of people who can champion that and really root for it, and giving you that kind of, something to lean into and really rally around, and bringing your community together around that. And I see that really happening right now. Something that we're bringing together is a group of women called Women of Rural Kindness, which I'd love to speak to, at some point in greater depth. But definitely Women of Rural Kindness is a group that, can really come together around emotional health. So,
Rose or Amber, do you have anything to say on this topic?
Well, I have something to say. I have something to say. So, both of these ladies nailed it, and I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that the definition of community, it can be several different things. It can be interest. It can be location. It can be purpose. It can be, there's all kinds of common denominators. But what makes a great community is when people take time to acknowledge one another. Today is International Women's Day, and I intentionally watched as we entered the room for the smiles and the eye contact and the introductions and things of that nature, because that's what make people feel like they are part of the community. And we as women, we do it better than anybody. So we want to make sure that we're doing that all the time. It doesn't matter what industry we're in. It doesn't make a difference if it's business or religious or entity. That making people feel like they matter is the key to everything. You cannot educate people that don't feel like that they matter to you, right? We can't make people talk about their dreams or aspirations or even want to become better until they know that we matter. We all have heard that old cliche, right? Nobody cares how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And I think that's what makes a great community.
You know what I find interesting, though, is I also think it's kind of the commonalities that we've been talking about. And one of the things that I love being a digital tech gaming nerd is I can find that so much in my gaming world or my tech world, right? I don't know what a person looks like. I don't know what their language is. It's we're gaming together, right? And so what I find fascinating is the microcosms are also within our community is how we find more of that commonality. It's like, oh, I'm like this, and I'm a gamer nerd, so I don't have this in common with X. But then I meet somebody, and they love fashion. And I'm like, oh, girl, I love me some fashion, as Eve knows. And so it's like finding that commonality in people, realizing that we each have different microcosms that we are a part of, but it makes the bigger part of our tribes and our communities, which is really cool.
You can always find those commonalities, right?
Yeah.
Yes, in
There's
different
something
forms and
always.
fashions. No pun intended. All right, so what defines a successful collaboration or partnership in your eyes?
Well, I mean, I think just speaking on that and handing it to y'all, I think what a good partnership is I always like to say when a square just fits like a square. And, you know, I for 9 years in AA, I own AA Labs, and one of the biggest things we've always done is I don't ever reach out to a client and introduce them to someone else unless it's just a perfect fit. And the best thing is when someone, or friends, I don't introduce someone unless it's a fit for both of them. Because time is the one thing you can't make more of. And so the best thing you can do for someone is to connect them, or whether it be in business, commonality, community, tribes, thing like that. But finding that for someone and being able to mend and bridge that gap immediately is just priceless.
I love those connections that you make. That's great.
I've appreciated them too. Amber's done many of those for me. So I guess I'm a square and a square. Yeah. And speaking to that, for me and in the work that I'm in with emotional health, sense of values is really, really critical in kind partnerships and how we seek out to really support companies and partnerships and really looking for who is a good partner in what we're doing in the line of work we're doing, and how do we find those squares to really work together. So really knowing and establishing what your values are, and as you lean in to, support women, what are your values? Do you know what they are in the room? Do you know what your business values are? Do you know what your personal values are? And being able to link up with other businesses in that way so that you can bolster each other. On International Women's Day, it's really important that as you are rising, that you're lifting those around you with those shared values.
And piggybacking off of what you just said, in the military, we had this saying where when you went into camp, they're going to break you down as an individual to build you up as a team, right? Because sometimes when you're collaborating and if you are completely thinking of, okay, this is what I have and this is what they have, or this is what I don't have, you're so focused on sort of what you're getting out of it and not the overall goal. So I think I took that with me in every single thing that I did, into college, into pageantry, break myself down as a person to build myself up as a team, to promote my platform, to promote the Miss International platform for women's health, to promote domestic violence, whatever I was promoting, to focus on, okay, maybe I haven't experienced this, but if I focus on the qualities that I can kind of mute out a little bit, sometimes that can be a bit much, mute out some of those qualities a little bit and focus on how I can assist and collaborate and connect with the next person in their story and amplify it for them, then, it'll be a perfect match.
That's awesome. I think collaboration and partnership is teamwork. And as a former athlete and now a coach, when you're on a team, there's no big eyes and there shouldn't be any big eyes and little U's. There should be everybody working together for a common goal. And when you have a collaboration that is successful, usually it's because everybody is playing their position. So I'm going to be what you need to make sure you get what you need, and then you become what I need so that I get what I need. Or if it's an organization or a business, that's what it's about. And it's just like you said, minimizing myself. I had a conversation about this morning, that minimizing myself and saying what's best for the group, what's best for the goal. And that's why missions and visions are so important, because when a mission and a vision is put out there, whether it's a company, whether it's an organization, then people know what they're striving for. And then when people know what they're striving for, and we've done the think tanks or whatever we need to do in the beginning to find out what you need for your organization and what I need for my organization, then we start to plan together, and that way nobody gets left out. So I think that's what makes successful collaborations.
You know, and something that you're talking about, it brings up for me is, you know, whatever size of business you have or wherever you're starting out, it gets really exciting whenever you have a partnership coming to you to just take the first thing that comes your way, or to just like kind of jump into a relationship. But just as like any relationship that you jump into, it's really important to know the direction you're going. So those missions and visions and the values that you have, it's really important because, as Amber said, with your time, you can't make more of it. So once you start a partnership, I remember somebody told me, this is the best advice I'd gotten, is somebody said, whatever partnership you take on, make sure you can maintain it. So if you have this partnership, and say it's like the big fish or the big shark or whatever it is that you were hoping for, if you don't have the tools and all the people to back it up, that fish is going to sink, and you're going to sink right with it. So just make sure that whatever you're doing in whatever stage of your company or your, you know, whatever you're building, that you have all of what you want with your mission, your vision, your, you know, values, and all of that's in place. And if you don't have it all together, that's okay. Like, just start building little by little, and get a mentor, get a coach, get somebody there with you to help you build all those things in place. But number one thing is make sure that you're taking that little step and making sure your values are aligned, because it can go really south really fast.
So our next question is, how can communities make people feel welcomed, heard, and supported in an authentic way? I think that's so important. Authenticity.
I would love to start with
Andra.
something, and I don't mean to be a naysayer, but communities cannot make you feel anything. I just want to put that out there. Communities are something that you need to do your homework on before you go into a community. Communities provide a sense of belonging. They can provide something that you are seeking. So if you do your homework up front by possibly thinking about maybe a community you're in right now, or a community you've been in the past, and maybe even journal out, like, what was something that it made you feel, or something that it provided to you that you felt great about, and think about all the things that you want in a community, and then go seek out a community. Because the communities are built because there's certain people that really like that community, and it's jamming, right? And it's awesome. But that community won't ever make you feel anything. So don't go seeking a community in that way, or it will disappoint you. So you step into the relationship with what you want, and that community will find you, and vice versa.
And just piggybacking off of that, I know I'm the Gen Zer up here. We really have this push for like inclusivity and everyone belonging everywhere. And I think there's something just so special about spaces that are created and gate kept for specific needs. Like you're saying, not everyone belongs everywhere. I cannot sing. I do not have a great talent. I have an amazing platform, but I don't belong in Miss America. Like, I don't belong there. I can't sing. I can't throw a baton. So
Everybody in the room can. Show of hands. I mean, I was like,
yeah, like I can't play the violin super well. So I don't belong there. So I found systems like Miss International or Miss USA where I did fit, and I did see a place where my platform could fit, and I made it work for me. And I think more so than anything, any young person who might hear this, please just find what fits for you. Not everything has to add you in. Not everything has to be inclusive for you. It has to be respectful, for sure. Advocate for your respect. But don't force yourself where you don't feel welcomed, or where you don't think you're going to have your needs met, and vice versa, for sure.
You know, it's interesting. I always like to say it's the fanatic space. I love the spaces for fanatics, where it's, you get in there and all of a sudden you're like talking to someone about, I mean, I can go on for hours about my Bronco and my 1969 Bronco that I have refixed up. You don't even want to hear
Ooh,
me
that
talk
sounds
about it.
nice. What
It's
color?
so fun. Baby blue,
Oh my
yellow
gosh.
inside, orange. See?
It's
Oh,
gorgeous.
no, sorry.
It's gorgeous.
But the thing is, like, I'm a fanatic in that space. Or if you ever look at like gaming, I'm a fanatic. And what I love is back to what you're talking about, what y'all are talking about. It's like finding your groups that you get to be that fanatic, and you don't have to apologize for it. Like if you nerd out and talk about a certain
Unapologetic,
space,
yes.
yeah, and that's one of the best parts about authenticity.
Authenticity.
I always have a hard time with that
A
word.
lot of syllables.
I can live it. I can't say it. But one of the things I love is that you don't even have to try. It's like when you're with your tribe and you're getting to talk about something you don't have to apologize that you love. That is the true value of living in that fanatic space.
Only thing I'd like to add is before, and we've all done it. I know we say we want to find our community and all that thing, but we've all found ourselves in a community that we was not in the right community, right? we know that. So what I do want to say is before you seek to find a community, find yourself. Establish some boundaries. The things that you're not going to settle for. The things that you want or you aspire to do. If you need encouragement, you want to find a community that's going to encourage you regardless of how you look, where you came from, what city you were born in, those type of things. You want a community that's going to encourage you just as much as they encourage the president of the organization, if you will. And so find yourself. Know that every single one of you have a gift, and your gift will make room for you if you use it. Remember, it doesn't become a gift until you give it away. So that means you have to find a community in which they'll let you operate in your gift, and they'll encourage you to operate in your gift. And just like you said, if they're not encouraging you to do so, that's the wrong community. But first, do some work on yourself. That's the best thing we can do for ourselves as women, is to figure out what it is that we want in life and then go forward.
When I'm feeling down, I'm going to call Rose. I mean, I have some moments, you know what I mean? I'm going to call you. All right, so we have some questions for each and every one of you, just individualized questions. And they're kind of two-parters, but we're going to start with you, Andra. You are gearing up to launch Kind House, which was a special collaboration with Amber and AA Labs. Can you talk a little bit about the partnership and how you both decided to come together and empower educators and students through an online community? And how does kindness play a big role?
Ooh, this sounded very official. So for anyone in the room who is just learning about the tech space or doesn't know a lot about the metaverse, don't worry. I didn't either, but I do now. Amber has empowered me to know that she's like, Andra, stop saying that you don't know what a metaverse is. You built one. And I'm like, yes. So friends and your community can also help empower you to see yourself for what you are and what you've done. And so over the last year with COVID, in order to really reach a community that we're serving in Title I schools, we were able to build what I like to say, my backyard treehouse into the metaverse. And it is called the Kind House, and it helps students that are needing a little extra positive behavioral health coaching get to go in and play in a positive environment, working through self-image, emotional awareness, empathy, and community. And there's a rewards area where they get to play in a space called our music and arts area, a little room. And all of this was made possible because one day I had a breakdown, which we all do, and I called my dear friend, and she was a visionary, someone to bring something that I needed help with to life. And this is where kindness begins. It begins when you feel in your community you have, you need to lean on a friend, a cohort, or someone in your life that can see you when you're broken. As leaders, sometimes it's difficult in our jobs, in our careers, to say, I need help. And I looked at Amber and I said, I'm on a tight time frame. I have made commitments to schools and in places where I need help. And can you help me? And she said, I'll call you right now. She called me, and we built a universe, a metaverse, playground for children right now at South by EDU. that's where I just came from. We're activating it. We're putting it into practice. We're letting educators see it right now, and I'm very proud of this. It's not only something that children can use, but it's an example of how a partnership can be used. I've taken a tool that maybe Amber might not, and AA Labs might not be in a space like South by EDU, and exposed her work to educators, to superintendents, to all those people at South by EDU, and gotten to work with some of her fantastic employees and teammates. And my success is her success. And to me, together we do rise. We get to be stronger together. I'm learning so much, and we're building a kinder world together. And to me, that is a place I want to be, and people I want to work with, and partnerships I want.
I can't imagine, seeing the kids that are going through that kind house. They're going to grow up to be, young adults, and they're going to contribute to me. I think they're going to contribute to the world in a better space because they've had that kind of nurturing at a young age. You know what I mean? I know a lot of adults who could have used the kind house. You know what I mean?
Our programming starts at 3.
I love it.
There is no child too young that cannot start learning emotional health skills.
But it's true because you learn so much more when you have fun with it. Anything you can interact and experience with, you remember it. And at that age, especially, what do you want them to be remembering? Grand Theft Auto? Or would you like them to be remembering how to be kind and not bully, and empathy and self-love? And so I love what she did. She went to them. She didn't ask them to come to her and sit there and just watch a video and to be a one-way interaction, which no one at that age does. They're interactive. They're playing Fortnite. They're immersed. And so then she built a product of a storytelling. And I mean, there's nothing better as a person, though we talked about that, there's nothing better of building a technology and watching someone build something beautiful on top of it. I love that.
I can just see the passion in your eyes because I can just see your eyes well up. And you know what? I love that. I love that. I love that. By the way, since you're already talking, let me ask you a question, Amber. You get to foster a community daily with Web3 and the metaverse. How are you balancing the human connection and IRL experiences with your digital platform? And how can your product AA help communities grow and expand?
Well, I mean, if anybody knows, with AA Labs, we've been doing live experiences for almost 9 years in June. It's crazy. So Ready Player One actually was at South by a few years ago. That was my team's work. We've done quite a few huge experiences. And what I love is watching how people get to interact with something. And we always said, and Anna's in the room, she's my chief experience officer. She's been with me 7 years. We've built some amazing stuff together. And we always say, it's like if people can interact with something, they'll remember it. But also put 5 things in an event. If you do 5 different experiences, someone will walk away and go, wait, what did you get to do? How did I miss that? And they'll go back, and there's a little bit of that FOMO. So what I've loved is, my why is I believe innovators will change the world. And what I love is over the last few years, we've actually got to build our own SaaS platform that has allowed for other innovators to get to create and build on top of it. So our platform is Digital Worlds. It's kind of think of the WordPress for the metaverse. And so we've built an entire platform that people that have amazing curriculum, that want to do training and engagement and have that human connection, which is dramatically missing on digital. I've been to a Zoom. You got to be a showman up there. You meet somebody that you do not know. You have none of that commonality, that exactly what we're talking with communities. So we've built it into a platform that allows you to actually engage and know something and interact. And I think real life is amazing. We need to stop trying to replace real life. What we need to do is build the bridge between real life when I get to see you here, and then when I get to see you the next time, I'm going to lose touch with half the people. But if I can build on a platform that is allowing for the community and the interactions, and I would show up every Tuesday for lunch and learn to hear you talk. And as a coach, I'm serious. But how amazing would it be next Tuesday? I say, guys, let's just come on into the Kindness Campaign. Let's go into the AA Labs world, and we're going to chit-chat about this, and then I get to run into my community and my tribe. So looking at technology as more of a thing that should be connecting us and not dividing us is everything that I build.
I love that you say build a bridge. I love that. All right, Rose, this next question is for you. Why did you start Black Women in Business, and what makes this community so special and successful? And by the way, BWIB is the movement dedicated to a journey of self-confidence, sisterhood, and success. How do you define success? The two-parter.
Well, I'd like to say that I started Black Women in Business because it was passion. I was passionate about it, and that's what I wanted to do. That's not it. That is not it at all. I mean, literally, I've always known that I'd be a business owner. I knew that. I always wanted to know what the boss was doing. You know, I was the kid that when we played school, you know, all of us play school, right? I wasn't the student. I wasn't even the teacher. I was the superintendent. What kid does that, right? But I was always wondering what those people in that building were doing and whatever. And I know the superintendent was somebody that was important because my mom was a teacher, right? So Black Women in Business, yeah, I was in the corporate America and doing very well. Marketing is where my education is, and I love being in the sales force and teaching people how to become better leaders. And that's where I was. I've been a single mother for 14 years. And so at this particular time, I had arrived. I had got where I needed to be. I was making great money. I was working 4 days a week. The only person that was over me was the owner of the company. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. I'm where I need to be, right? And then I heard, no, it's something else that you need to be doing. And in 2011, the idea of Black Women in Business came to me because here in Austin, I don't know whether you guys know it or not, but there's less than 7% of African Americans in Austin, Texas, period. So when I left my home in the mornings and I went to work, I didn't see another person that looked like me until I got back home. And that's my journey. And so when I kept hearing I needed to do something else, and people kept asking me, how do I do this? And what about business? I want to go into business, but I need some help in leadership. And I always found myself talking to people that were going to start a business. And this was in 2011 when it first came to me. And I was real hard-headed and just didn't want to do it. And I was thinking of all these reasons why I shouldn't, and just talking myself out of it. And then 2014, the voice just kept getting louder in my head. And I woke up one morning, I start my day every day with prayer and meditation. And this particular morning, it was be bold. I need you to be bold. And I thought, okay, if I get any more bolder than this, somebody gonna take me right on out of here. You know, but it was amazing because we're coming up on the anniversary when this happened, because it was right before South by Southwest started that I got this vision. And so myself and some of my friends went to South by Southwest. I'll never forget, we're at the Belmont, we're up on the roof. We go up, right? And people are just mingling and drinking and having a good time. You know what we do at South by Southwest, right? And I walk, there's a little room. I told you I'm nosy. I'm always trying to find out what's going on in the rooms over there. So I walk over to the room. They got all the food in there. And literally I took one step and I just grabbed the door. On the wall, I still have the picture. It said, be bold. I said, okay. And so the people that were with me like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, okay, this is a message. This is a message. This is a message. Pay attention. Pay attention, pay attention. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to throw something out on my Facebook page. Literally, I threw a little message out there and said, if you're a Black woman and you have a business and you like, you know, more resources and tools and education, you know, to help you be a better businesswoman, you know, just comment on the post. In 30 minutes, I had 100 messages. In 30 minutes. So I said, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll need to try to figure this thing out. And that was the birth of Black Women in Business. And so 2014, we started, and I was just trying to figure out what is it they would need. If you ever want to know what your community needs, ask them. So I asked them, ladies, what do you need? And as they started to tell me what they needed, I started to make sure I was bringing people in that could provide those resources, those tools, those presentations. And the first year we had 100+ members join. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, what are we doing? And so we continued for 3 years. And we, you know, community is big with me. So it had to be in the core of what we were doing. We had to give back. So we have a scholarship program. We have a teen entrepreneurship program. We do a lot of work in the community. I don't know if any of you have heard of us, but prior to the pandemic, we were doing something different, and we were the first nonprofit organization to pivot our gears and start to go out and serve free groceries to all of the elders. At first, it just started off being elders. We have done that every single day since March 20th of March 16th. Thank you. That's why you always bring your team with you. March 16th of 2020 to today, we're still doing it. We have served more than 80,000 families free groceries without any governmental funding whatsoever. That's the power of women when we come together and we start passionate about something. And so we did that for 3 years here in Austin. And then it was like, hey, we need to take this out further. So at the end of 2019, I have 10 chapters throughout the state of Texas, and spent a lot of time traveling and going to those cities, making sure we're having leaders, executive teams, and things like that. And the success of the organization comes from not me. And I tell women when they join, don't pay attention to me. Pay attention to the mission. Pay attention to the vision. Is there something here that you're interested in? What can we do for you? But I also tell them, don't come to Black Women in Business and say, what can Black women in business do for me? No, what can you do for Black women in business? Because that's the team mentality. So for me, success, and I know that we live in this competitive world, and social media makes it so easy for you to look and see someone else that's doing better than you are and say, oh, I need to do that, right? Oh, I need to add this. Oh, I need to do that. But success is really you doing your very best at something and being happy with the outcome. That's what success is. So she's not your competition. I'm not your competition. Don't pay attention to what people across the street are doing. Just do your very best. And when you're happy with the outcome, then you just toot your own horn and you do backflips or whatever it is you want to do because you've become successful. And that's what success is to me. That's really all I got.
I love it. In journalism, it's very easy to kind of see, the next girl that comes in, the next journalist. And I always I keep my eye on the prize and I focus and I'm competing with myself because there's always going to be someone smarter, taller, thinner, younger, you know what I mean? So you just have to focus on yourself. I love that. All right. The next question is for you, Najah. You are considered a role model for your community, specifically for young women who are conquering their fears. What tools do you use to personally conquer your own fears? And what advice do you have for leaders who are facing imposter syndrome?
I'm going to start from the last question and work backwards because I have so much imposter syndrome now. Standing up here, I'm like, how did I qualify? I think that, as you mentioned, it is so important for you to focus on yourself. This weekend, I recently competed for Miss Texas International, and I got first runner-up.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And my first pageant I ever competed in was a scholarship pageant in the Bahamas last year, and I got top 8. And I won most photogenic, and I'm missing an award. I won 2 awards, and I got top 8. And I was okay with that. I was like, okay, cool. And I went to Miss Texas International, and after I went through interview, I was like, oh, I got this. This is all me. I'm getting crowned. I'm gonna finally have my crowning moment. I've been competing in pageants going on a year now, and this is gonna be my moment. And when they called me for first runner-up, I felt an overwhelming amount of emotions. I was so happy for our current Miss Texas International, Kelsey. If she watches this, she is so sweet. She's so amazing. She'd been in the system for a while, and this was finally her moment. She finally won, and I'm so happy for her. Beyond grateful to even share the stage with her. But I did feel grief. And that's what people don't tell you. When you're in pageants, you're supposed to smile and clap really loud when you lose. But I started crying because I felt grief because I had my mind made up that I was going to come here and I was going to sit on the stage next to all of these very accomplished women, and I was going to have a crown on my head, and everyone was going to see that I was this queen. And I spoke with one of my biggest mentors, Allie Curtis, and she said, she was telling me the story about how she competed in 14 pageants across almost 10 years before she won her first crown. And it really inspired me because I was like, you're right. And, this is my second pageant. And for this to be my second pageant, I'm not even a year into pageantry, and I was first runner-up. That's improvement. Last time I was number 7 in the top 8, and now I'm number 2 in the top 5. That's a huge accomplishment. I am so proud of myself. I'm 23, and these women are so accomplished, but I'm 23 and I'm a veteran, and I'm in college, and I'm a double major, and I'm a pageant queen, and I've done all of these amazing things in just 23 years. I'm proud of that. And more importantly, I'm a survivor. I've survived. I've survived homelessness. I've survived domestic violence. I've survived sexual abuse. I'm here. That is an accomplishment within itself. And I think that that's where it really starts when you're feeling that imposter syndrome. You have to remember that you don't have the resources, you don't have the path, and you don't have the calling that the other person has. You have to find what yours is, and you have to align yourself with what you're wanting and what your values and what your calling is bringing you to. And when you're starting to feel like, I feel like I have this, and I feel like I'm going and it's just not working for me, readjust and adapt and keep going, because you're not going to get it overnight. I know on social media, like you're saying, it feels like it's all overnight. It feels like there's 12-year-olds every day popping up on Forbes opening toys. I was at this pageant, these preteens. Oh my gosh, these preteens. There was this one, she was like 7, and she's like, I have a nonprofit organization. I was like, you're missing 2 teeth. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? But you have to but you have to remember that, and she's gonna that 7-year-old, she's great. She won. She's gonna do great things.
Disclaimer, she's great.
I'm fine. But yeah, she's gonna do great stuff, but so am I, and I think about all of the women that I look up to. I think about Beyonce. I think about how she was like 6 and she went for her first competition and she lost. But what she didn't realize when she lost was that her group, it was called Girls Time, they were the first hip-hop urban group to compete at that competition. So it wasn't really a loss. It was a win, because then so many other groups came after her. Or Oprah and all of the many barriers she broke down for women in journalism. I mean, I could go on and on. So you have to start there. You have to start with understanding that your calling is yours and theirs is theirs, and you have to focus in on yourself. And when you're starting to feel like you're not gonna get the thing that you really want, understand, and I don't mean to take us to church here, sometimes when we tell God that we have a plan, he laughs because he has his own plan. He has his own plan, and you have to be open to making adjustments to your plan and adapting your plan to your circumstances. What was the beginning part of that question?
It was a long question. No, the beginning part was just specifically, what do you do when you're conquering your fears? What tools do you use to kind of help you conquer your fears? I feel like you kind of answered that.
Yeah, I cry. So like I said, I use tools, and I think it's so amazing that you're bringing these tools when you were talking about what you're doing. I wish I had those types of tools. When I was in school, I was suffering from homelessness and all kinds of things, and I wish I would have had the type of resources that you're creating. So luckily for all of us, there's amazing women like these women on the stage who are creating tools and spaces for us to navigate these hard times. But I think more importantly, I use my community. That's what I use when I'm conquering fear.
Perfect. Well, I have 2 questions that I want all of you to answer. So maybe we can just start. Rose, maybe we'll start with you, and we'll answer the first question, and then on the second one we'll go back, and then we'll open it up to you guys. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask as well. So Rose, we'll start with you. The first question is, what obstacle are you still trying to overcome?
She would start with me on this one.
Sorry.
So I love to win, y'all. I love to win as an athlete, as a woman, as a mom, as a grandmother. I love to win. I'm always trying to find a way to win. But I'm not just trying to find a way for myself. I'm trying to find a way for everybody around me to win. And so, as you know, for those of you that are mothers, we're empty nesters, so our kids are adults. But one of the things that I'm trying to make sure is that I'm not trying to push. Well, let me say this. I said at the beginning of 2022 that I wasn't going to pull anyone, but I'll push you all day. Because if I'm pulling you, you don't want to go. Understand what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to teach myself that when I see someone really doesn't want to go to the next level or this thing that we might be discussing, to kind of pull back and watch, because demonstration makes a better conversation all day long. So people can tell you something, but what they do is really where they're going or not going. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm staying focused, and when I'm coaching, I'm not coaching someone that doesn't want to play, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Najah, what do you think?
Obstacles I'm still trying to overcome? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm 23. There's so many. I think piggybacking off of what you were saying, I always say this when I'm in pageant spaces and I see girls crying and they're breaking down because maybe they didn't place the way they wanted to, or they didn't win, or maybe they didn't come off as they wanted to come off. I always say that pageantry, and I guess life, is golf, not football. You're not competing against someone else or something else. It's golf. There's these set standards, and somebody, probably an old white guy, came in and said, "Hey, this is what you need to do on this hole. You need to get it in and." I don't know how golf works. I think 5 swings. However, go. Yeah, pars. Yeah, you need to par the ball into the hole. And in hockey, no, I'm just kidding. But you know, and if you can get it in 4, that's great. And sometimes you get it in 6, but the next hole you get it in 2. That's good, right?
Three would be par 3 would be
3. You get it in.
Yeah.
We could do a whole golf lesson.
Andra, I'm really impressed.
I'm like, you can
I've played
birdie.
a little bit.
You can birdie, and you'll be fine. And maybe at the end, when everything is tallied up, what you can say is that you had that experience. So when I'm thinking about obstacles, I guess I don't really think too much about them. I mean, there's always those big systematic obstacles. You can always have more money. I wish you could have more time. You could always have more resources. But I guess I just focus more on birdie, the birdie. I focus on the birdie of the hole. Okay. I just got the birdie down. I focus on the birdie of the moment, how I can get the ball into the hole in 3 swings instead of 5. So yeah.
My turn.
Yes,
Okay.
your turn, Andra.
All right, I'm trying to remember the question, but I think my obstacle. So first, I want to say that the kindness campaign, for anyone who doesn't know the origin of it, it did not. My obstacles are many, but mainly because of the growth we've had over the last couple years and the obstacles we have had as an organization, as a nonprofit organization over the last couple years, which we all have had, I'm assuming in the room, some kind of obstacle. And so because of the way that the genesis of the kindness campaign from the very beginning, I too did not wake up one day and go, yeah, this is exactly what I'm going to be doing for my whole life. Prior to this, I was a fitness instructor. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep, and I worked at Dell Computers like every good Austinite should, right? I used to make that joke all the time. I don't even know if it's fitting anymore.
I have like 3 friends that work there, so yeah.
Yeah, so I sold computers. I don't know. I just sold them. I was like praying that they worked when they got there all the time. I was in sales. But now I do metaverses. So kind of as a background, a very long background to my journey to the nonprofit space, it was not sought out. And it was something that happened because a dear friend of mine's daughter committed suicide at the age of 12. And so if I look at my obstacles all along the way and my journey to today, sitting in this chair, I can tell you there have been many. But my obstacle right now, as we know, the statistics are just growing. Suicide rates are climbing. Loneliness is, and I don't know how many of you in this room, and it's very dark, so I can't see your faces. I just see little lights. But I'm pretending they're faces right now. You just don't know. But I know that loneliness is really, really out there. And I don't know how many of you in this room have felt lonely over the last couple years. I know I have. So my obstacle is about emotions and about people, communities, and connection, and connecting with you. I don't even have to go very far. And so what's happened for me over the last years is I've had to create ways through play, through music, through the arts. Arts are my portal into this way to connect with people, because what we know is through play, it opens up all kinds of ways for people to be seen and heard and to eliminate this feeling of loneliness. And what I found is that I need people, those people that I'm trying to serve, to come together with me to help build this community. I cannot do it alone. I need people with talents, resources, their time, their treasures, to come bring their community with me. I've had so many people reaching out. I cannot answer all the emails. My team is very small, but we say we're mighty. And we've been serving nationwide over the last almost a decade. We've been serving nationwide, or organizations from Boys and Girls Clubs to national charity leagues to most recently we have partnerships with the Girl Scouts, to Title I schools across the nation. And it's getting to be overwhelming. So we want people. We want women. Women make things happen when they come together. And so that's why I've started the Women of World Kindness organization, because so many women have reached out saying they want resources for themselves, for their families, for their children. And so I've got a founding group that started, and we're building it. We have our first meeting coming up. And I'm really excited about that, because I think together we are stronger, and we can make things happen. An example here, all my partnerships have been that way. But that is my true need, is needing help, because I've got all kinds of curriculum we've been creating over the last couple years to help with a very big problem. So,
and I'm sorry, and where can we go to help? Like, where can we?
So the kindness campaign is tkckindness.org. And where I think you have another question you said you were going to ask us. So maybe, but if you want to join the Women of World Kindness, you can do it at andraleimandt.com. And or you can go to tkckindness.org. I answer all those emails unless somebody wants to volunteer for helping me do that. My team and I see all emails, but if you just say, I want to join Women of World Kindness, we will be rolling out an email for everyone to join soon. So that is a way that you can get involved and help. It's going to be fun.
I think it takes a lot of courage just to say, you know what, I do need help. I need help, and, just put it out there. I think that's very important. So, Amber, what obstacle are you still trying to overcome?
Well, it's interesting. I'm such a tech nerd. So whenever you're saying that, I was like, oh, Anna, we need to create a QR code. I'm like, I can hold up a QR code. Y'all can scan it in right now, and you can just sign up.
And this is why we're partners, because I call her and I go, what?
No, I mean, I think what I find fascinating is, when you talk about the obstacles, is I love what you said. I'm definitely self-taught from a tiny little town in East Texas where I was allowed to be a mom or a nurse, and that was it, or a teacher. Nurse was really big, if you could make it that big. So it's interesting to me because I don't believe in obstacles. I believe they constantly, every day, show up. And I think my tribe is one of the reasons I don't believe in them, because I will call up somebody, or I will cry, or I'll write it down, and I'll figure out a solution. Because there is not an obstacle that I will not freaking figure out. I almost cussed. I'll freaking figure out how to solve it. But I do think what is fascinating is what I love, but it is fascinating, is the technology side. I love tech. I've been in it for a long time. I helped create esports. So like in the gaming space for League of Legends. And so where I see where the world could go with Web3 and these metaverses, and it's like, seriously, Andrew, you said like 10 times, well, I don't have a metaverse. I'm like, that's literally what the platform is, right?
I was going to speak at Google and I go, do I have a metaverse? I'm going to talk about it. And I want to I was talking to Google.
And I'm like,
that's a metaverse, right? She goes, Andra, you have a metaverse.
Yes, and I'm like, all a metaverse is the next stage of the internet. That is what this is. It's a place
Call
that you
Amber
can do
for all your
API
tech needs.
But my whole point is, I think what's fascinating to me is the obstacle is kind of, we doubt ourselves. I have literally heard so many women say, oh, I'm a tech Luddite. While they have an iPad out in front of them and an iPhone and a computer, solving 3 different things, calling themselves a tech Luddite. So I think one of the biggest obstacles sometimes I face is people think that it is where technology could be going, they will not understand, and so they're scared to even try. And so everything I do and everything that drives me is trying to figure out how to help people understand what step 1, 2, and 3 is of where we can go for that human connection for metaverse or Web3, and stop talking about where we'll be in 10 years, which is where everybody's talking about right now in Meta and such. Let's talk about where we can do right now.
So what's your ask of the community? We can go backwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest thing is, that is one of mine. Mine is, if you have any questions on how you can actually, from a business to business, I am a business to business product, B2B, how you can actually have a platform or a place to have training and engagement with your employees, with your customers. That is definitely what my platform does. And then the second thing is, for the first time ever, I'm going for a financial raise. So it's really exciting. I'm bootstrapped, profitable since day one. And so I'm doing a friends and family round for the advisors and people that helped me get here, because I've just never accepted money. I wasn't set up that way. And then later part of this year, we'll hit the VC route. And we believe right now they're saying at 100 million valuation. So it's very exciting.
Excellent. Yes. Nice.
Awesome.
Andra.
So I guess my biggest need is get curious. Get curious for yourself. And if you're looking for emotional health tools, the Kindness Campaign is your one stop. You can come here. We serve 3 years old all the way to adults. We're launching a new product called Kind Gem, which is an app that has 365 days to a kinder you. Sounds fun. We've got obviously our Kind House, and we've got Kind Music, which if anybody ever wanted to be a musician, now's your time. You can learn how to write a song, and we put musicians back to work. It's like Uber for musicians. So if you want to get curious about emotional health, we've got all kinds of tools for schools, for your corporations, for you personally, for your family. You want a Christmas song? We got you. So we've got all kinds of ways to get curious and get fun about to get engaged around emotional health. Doesn't have to be scary, but also if you want to get involved in help, go to tkckindness.org, sign up. And I mean, if you have a skill, you want to lend it to us, we'll take it. If you want to sign up for Women of World Kindness Day, we'll take it. Go to andraleimandt.com.
Love it. Najah.
My biggest ask would be to please share your story. My platform, Voice for the Voiceless, is about amplifying the voices of people who are being silenced in their community. We can do that easier if people are sharing their stories. Also, stop robbing the world of your talents. Whatever it is that you think that you're passionate about, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be Beyonce in your field. And even if someone else is already doing it, please share those talents and please share your story with everyone. I mean, social media is the perfect place to open up, because you never know when someone else will sit across from you and say, you know what, that touched me because I went through that. When I was going through interview this weekend, I work with the Genesis Women's Shelter in Dallas, their domestic violence clinic, and I sat across from a woman who literally had left her first marriage and went to the Genesis Women's Shelter. So by sharing my experience and sharing my collaboration with that women's shelter, I was able to connect with her easier. So please share your stories and please share your talents.
Awesome. My biggest ask today is for your support. Not for me personally, but for the Black-owned businesses that are out there. A big misconception is when I'm talking to someone and they ask me what I do, and I say I'm the founder and CEO of Black Women in Business. They automatically think that this is just an organization just for Black women, and we have members of all races because they came to a meeting and they saw the impact and they saw how dynamic the collaborations and the financial opportunities and things that came out of those collaborations or the business presentations that we brought in. So Black Women in Business organization is not something just for Black women. We want the support. We want you to consider a Black-owned business when you are going out to dinner or whatever it might be. Or, there's some great women in the tech field. I'm trying to send them your way and see if there's something you guys can do. But we just want the support. We just want the support. And there's a volunteer program. One of the things I think about is during this pandemic, we didn't just serve Black people. We served everybody. And we just want everybody to support us as well. And it doesn't have to be financial. It can just be, sharing a post, or as simple as going to the website and seeing what we're doing and seeing how you can send a referral or send a partner or something over our way. So that's my biggest ask. And I think that's all I'm supposed to say. Was it something else? Did I miss something?
No, I think you did great.
Well, thank you for allowing me to ask for those things. Thank you.
I don't know about you all, but I feel like I just learned a lot, and I think this was so insightful. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.